Have a nice time. Welcome to the 40th and last lecture of this algebra lecture series. During the last two classes, we were discussing an important theorem. The theorem says that any integral domain D can be enlarged to a field F such that every element of F can be expressed as a quotient of two elements of D. In the last videos, we constructed the field F, that is, we defined what are the elements of the field F. Then we defined the operations, additions and multiplications on F, and we proved that F together with that operation satisfied all the field axioms. Now to complete the theorem, we have to show that F contains the integral domain D as a subdomain. That is, all the elements in D can be viewed as elements of F. And also we have to show that every element of F can be expressed as a quotient of two elements of D. When we consider these concepts in the case of set of all rational numbers, actually we have to show that Q contains set as a subdomain. Actually we have the concept that set is a subset of Q. But the elements of set are usually written in the form 0, 1, 2, etc. or -1, -2, etc. But the elements of Q are of the form P by Q such that P and Q are integers and Q not equal to 0. So to consider set as contained in Q, we have to express the elements of set as an element in Q, that is in the form P by Q. So it is very easy because we can consider 1 as 1 by 1, 2 as 2 by 1, etc. Then we have to consider 0 as 0 by 1 or 0 by 2, etc. All are equal to 0. Then -1 as -1 by 1, -2 as -2 by 1, etc. So likewise we can see that all the elements of set are contained in Q. In other words, here we defined an isomorphism from the set of all integers to the set of all rational numbers in such a way that the element A, the integer A in set, is mapped to the element A by 1 in Q. So we are making use of this concept to show that D can be considered as a subdomain of F. That is, if we take the integral domain D and F is the field we constructed as the field of quotients of D, we have to define an isomorphism from D to F in such a way that an element A in D is mapped to the element equivalent class A1 in F. So that is the final step of our theorem. After showing that such an isomorphism exists, we can easily show that any element of F can be expressed as quotients of two elements of D. Hence, we will show that F can be regarded as containing D. For that, we have to show that there is an isomorphism I from D to a subring of F. So, we consider the integral domain D and F is the field of quotients of D, and we are considering all the elements in F of the form equivalent class A1, where A is an element in D. Set of all these elements constitute a subring of F. Here first we define a map I from D to F in such a way that I of A equal to equivalent class A1. We have to show that I is an isomorphism from D to a subring of F. Actually that subring contains all the elements in F of the form equivalent class A1, where A belongs to D. To show that I is an isomorphism, I have to satisfy the homomorphism properties with respect to addition and multiplication. That is, first of all we have to show that I of A plus B equal to I of A plus I of B. By definition, I of A plus B is the equivalent class A plus B, 1. And I of A plus I of B is given by the equivalent class A1 plus the equivalent class B1. Using the definition of addition we have defined on F, the sum becomes A into 1 plus B 1 into B, 1 into 1, that's equal to the equivalent class A plus B, 1. So we can see that I of A plus B equal to I of A plus I of B. Likewise, we can show that I of A into B equal to I of A into I of B. What is I of A into B? It is the equivalent class of AB, 1. And I of A into I of B becomes the equivalent class A1 into the equivalent class B1. And with respect to the definition of multiplication we defined earlier, it becomes the equivalent class of A into B comma 1 into 1, that is equivalent class AB comma 1. So we showed that I of AB equal to I of A into I of B. Therefore, I satisfies homomorphism property with respect to addition and with respect to multiplication. Now it is enough to show that I is a 1-1 map. So I is a map from D to F. So we consider images of two elements in D under F. So let I of A equal to I of B, where A comma B belong to D. And we have to show that A equal to B. Then I becomes 1-1. And I of A is defined as the equivalent class A1. And I of B equal to the equivalent class of B1. These two equivalent classes are equal means that the element A1, the ordered pair A1 is equivalent to the ordered pair B1. Then only the equivalent classes containing these two elements become equal. And the equivalency of two ordered pairs here are defined in such a way that the element A1 is equivalent to B1 if and only if A into 1 equal to 1 into B. That is A into 1 equal to 1 into B, which implies A equal to B. So if we take the images of two elements A and B under I as equal, we showed that the elements are equal. Therefore, we can conclude that I is 1-1. So the map I we defined from D to a subring of F is an isomorphism. Clearly it is on 2 because we are considering only the images of elements of D under the map I. Therefore, we can consider D as a subdomain of F, or we can rename the elements of F which are of the form equivalent class A1 by the names of D. Then we can consider D as a subdomain of F. Now we have to show that elements of F can be written as quotients of two elements of D. Here we defined an isomorphism I from D to a subring of F, let it be F dash, and consider an element in F. So I take an arbitrary element A, B belong to F. I have to write this element as a quotient of two elements of D. We can write the element A, B as the product of the elements A1 and 1B. So this is actually equal to the equivalent class A1 into the equivalent class B1 inverse, because we have already showed that the inverse of the element AB is the equivalent class BA. Therefore, the inverse of B1 is the equivalent class 1B. And for notation's sake, we can express this as the equivalent class A1 divided by the equivalent class B1. And this is actually equal to I of A divided by I of B. Here, since I is an isomorphism from D, and if I of D is the set of all images of elements of D under I, we can treat this I of D as D itself if we rename the terms of F inside this I of D by the names of D itself. Therefore, actually here I of D can be considered as D itself. For example, in the case of integers and rational numbers, if we consider set of all elements of the form A by 1, where A belongs to D, we can treat the set of all A by 1 such that A belong to set as set itself. Likewise, we can consider this I of D, which is a subdomain of F, as D itself. Therefore, here we have expressed the equivalent class AB as quotient of two elements in the form I of A and I of B, but actually I of A and I of B can be treated as the elements in D which are A and B. So we have expressed an element in F as a quotient of two elements of D. In the last theorem, we showed that if there is an integral domain D, it can be enlarged to form a field so that any element of the field X becomes a quotient of two elements of D. That is, if X belongs to F, X can be expressed as A by B, where A and B are elements of D. Now we are going to show that any field L containing the integral domain D, the same D here, contains a subfield L dash such that this field F is isomorphic to this L dash. That is, we can define a map psi from F to L such that if we consider psi from F to L dash, it becomes an isomorphism. That is what this theorem says. Let F be a field of quotients of D and L be any field containing D. Then there exists a map psi from F to L that gives an isomorphism of F with a subfield of L such that psi of A equal to A for A belong to D. That means that if we take an element A in D, this element is mapped to the same element A under the map psi. In other words, psi, if restricted to the domain D, it becomes the identity map. That is, all the elements in D are mapped to itself under the map psi. So we are going to define a map psi from F to L. First of all, define psi for the elements of D. We have to define psi in such a way that psi of A equal to A itself for all A belong to D. So we have defined psi for all elements in D here. Now we have to define psi for the elements in F minus D. So consider an element, arbitrary element, x belong to F. In the previous theorem we showed that x can be expressed as quotient of two elements in D. So x equal to sum A by B where A comma B belong to D. Here we are taking the quotient of A by B in the field F. So let it be given, give the notation like this. Now define psi of x as psi of A by psi of B. Clearly, since A and B belong to D, we have psi of A and psi of B belong to L. Therefore, here we are taking the quotient of psi of A and psi of B in L. So let us give the notation here as the quotient in L. So actually here we have defined psi in such a way that psi of A by B in F is defined as psi of A by psi of B in L. So we have defined a map from F to L. We have to show that psi is an isomorphism from F to the subfield L dash. L dash is actually set of all images of elements of F under psi. So there is no need to show the surjective property, that is psi is on to, there is no need to prove, because we are taking only the images of elements of F under psi, and we have to show that psi satisfies the homomorphism properties of a ring, and also it is 1, 1. Before that we have to show that the definition we given here is sensible and well defined. Sensible means that we have defined psi of A by B in F as psi of A by psi of B in L. We have to show that this element actually belongs to L. Here we have taken an element x equal to A by B in F. So this implies that the element B not equal to 0. We have defined the elements of field of quotients in such a way that the denominator not equal to 0. Now we have defined psi of B as B itself since B belongs to D. So we can conclude that since B not equal to 0, psi of B also not equal to 0. So this implies that psi of A by psi of B in L belongs to the field L itself. Therefore our definition is actually sensible. Now we have to show that it is well defined. Well defined means that if we will take two distinct elements A by B and C by D in F, and if these two elements are equal, then the images are also equal. For that we will take two elements A by B and C by D in F. We will show that psi of A by B equal to psi of C by D if A by B equal to C by D. So we will take A by B equal to C by D. This means that by definition these two quotients are equal, means that A into D equal to B into C. So this implies psi of AD equal to psi of BC. Psi of AD is, by definition, it is A into D since A and D are elements of capital D, and psi of BC is defined as B into C since BC also belongs to D. So this can be written as psi of A into psi of D equal to psi of B into psi of C. Because since A, B, C, D are all elements of capital D, psi is the identity map for these elements, and psi of A equal to A, psi of D equal to D, etc. Now from this equation we can conclude that psi of A by psi of B in L equal to psi of C by psi of D in L. Because these two quotients are equal means that psi of A into psi of D equal to psi of B into psi of C. That we have already obtained here. Now by definition of psi from F to L, psi of A by psi of B in L means that this is psi of A by B in F. Because our definition is psi of A by B in F equal to psi of A by psi of B in L. So this one is equal to psi of C by D in F. Thus, if two elements A by B and C by D are equal in F, we showed that their images underside are also equal. That means that psi is well defined. Now we are going to show that psi satisfies the homomorphism property. Before that, let us have a review on the notation of elements of F. We have defined the elements of F in the form the equivalent class of ordered pair AB, where B not equal to 0, A and B belong to D. And later we have showed that this equivalent classes, that is the elements of F, can be expressed as the quotient of two elements A and B in D. That is, it can be represented as A by B in F. This notation will be familiar to you if we consider set of all rational numbers. In the set of all rational numbers, here the equivalent class 1, 2 actually contains all the elements which are equal to 1 by 2. That is equal to set 1 by 2, 2 by 4, 3 by 6, etc. And we may say that the equivalent class of 1, 2 is actually equal to 1 by 2, where the division is taken here in Q. Likewise, the equivalent class of ordered pair AB in F, we have given the notation as A by B in F. Now, the addition of two equivalent classes AB and CD is defined in such a way that it is equal to the equivalent class AD plus BC, BD. So this is actually equal to the quotient of the elements AD plus BC and BD in F. So this notation we are using here to prove that psi satisfies homomorphism property. Now let us take the elements X and Y in F. X can be represented as the quotient of elements A by B in F, where A and B are in D, and Y is equal to quotient of the elements C and D in capital D. Now psi of X plus Y is equal to psi of X is A by B in F and Y is C by D in F. So that's equal to, how can we add A by B and C by D? We can use the definition here and we can say that it's equal to psi of AD plus BC by BD. And as per our definition, psi of A by B is defined as psi of A divided by psi of B, where this division is taken in L. Okay, division means that we are multiplying the inverse of psi of B with psi of A actually. Now we can write here psi of AD plus BC by BD in F becomes equal to psi of AD plus BC by psi of BD in L as per our definition here. So this is equal to AD plus BC by BD. Why? Here A, B, C, D are all elements in D. And we have defined psi in such a way that elements of D are mapped to itself. Therefore, AD plus BC is an element in D. Therefore, it is mapped to AD plus BC itself under the map psi. Therefore, psi of AD plus BC is AD plus BC and psi of BD is BD. Here the quotient is taken in L. Now we consider psi of X plus psi of Y. That's equal to psi of A by B plus psi of C by D. That's equal to, by our definition of psi, this can be written as psi of A by psi of B in L, and psi of C by D is psi of C by psi of D in L. Now we are adding these two quotients in the field L, and this is equal to psi of A into psi of D plus psi of B into psi of C by psi of B into psi of D. Here we are taking the quotient in L. Now again, since psi is the identity map in capital D, psi of A equal to A, psi of D equal to D, etc. and we can conclude that is equal to AD plus BC by BD in L. So actually we showed that psi of X plus Y equal to psi of X plus psi of Y. Likewise, we can show that psi of X into Y equal to psi of X into psi of Y. Therefore, the map psi satisfies the homomorphism property. Now it remains to show that psi is 1, 1. For that we will take two elements A by B and C by D in F, and we assume that their images are equal, that is psi of A by B equal to psi of C by D. By definition, psi of A by B is psi of A by psi of B in L, and this is equal to psi of C by psi of D in L. In the field L, these two elements are equal means that psi of A into psi of D equal to psi of B into psi of C. And here A, B, C, D are all elements of capital D. Therefore, psi maps all these elements to itself. So this implies that psi of A is A, psi of D is D. So we have A into D equal to B into C. Or we can write here this equal to A by B in F equal to C by D in F. So we showed that if the images of A by B and C by D under psi are equal, then the elements A by B and C by D are equal, which implies that psi is 1, 1. Thus we proved that if we have an integral domain D and F is the field of quotients of that integral domain, and if capital L is any other field containing this integral domain, then we can define an isomorphism psi from F to a subfield of L. And the subfield is represented here as L dash, and it is actually set of all images of elements of F under the map psi. The first psi is on to considering a map from F to L dash. So psi is a isomorphism between F and a subfield of L. Since this subfield L dash inside L is isomorphic to the field of quotients of D, which is F, we can say that any field L containing the integral domain D contains a field of quotients of D, which is L dash, because this L dash is structurally equal to F. So we can consider this L dash as F itself in some sense, and we can say that the field L contains a field of quotients of D, where D is the integral domain in L. So there is a corollary to this theorem which says that every field L containing an integral domain D contains a field of quotients of D. Hello all. This algebra lecture series was based on the syllabus of Calicut University 5th semester BSc Mathematics. And through the 40 video lessons, we have completed all the portions related to the syllabus. And if you are a regular viewer of this lecture series, kindly give your feedback through the feedback form I have posted in the comment box, so that I may improve with respect to your suggestions. Thank you all.